Hello everyone, this is Parita here and welcome back to my channel. Today is finally the day when I do the trip of 12 Apostles, the Great Ocean Road trip. I was a little hesitant on doing this trip because everybody who goes to Melbourne does this trip, but I thought kar lete hai, and I am so glad that I did this trip. I did not brush it aside because it is so common and everybody does it. I am very happy about it because the views and the information about the countries, the history, everything was just great, and I would encourage you guys to book this trip for sure. I booked this trip on Get Your Guide and have given the link in the description box below. So if you guys want to book the trip, you can use that link and go ahead with it. The guide, they took us to a lot of places, and today you are going to travel with me to those places.
Once you enter 7-Eleven, there'll be a coffee and a milk machine kept right there with a stack of hot chocolate cups. You remove this foil from the cup and the chocolate is right there. Place the cup below the machine and touch what you want, hot or cold milk, and you have to keep on pressing it. I did not know this and I was struggling with it until a 7-Eleven employee helped me out.
There is also another tour which usually people do is called the first Great Ocean Tour. So instead of starting, so there are point A, B, C, D. This tour would start from point E. So when people are at point A, point E पे तुम्हें crowd नहीं मिलेगा. But unfortunately, while I was booking this trip, the reverse Great Ocean Road trip was sold out, and the only option I had was this trip, and I got it on sale, and I was very happy about it. The cost was somewhere between 6 to 7,000 rupees, INR of course, and usually this trip cost 8,000 to 10,000 rupees, ranging on which tour operator is providing for it. तो एक दो हजार का डिस्काउंट मिल गया तो of course I'm definitely happy for it.
We left at 7 o'clock in the morning approximately and drove over the West Gate Bridge to reach this place called Torque. Here is where two brothers invented the wetsuit, which helps to dive, surf, swim, snorkel even in the windiest and the coldest weather. So yes, it was invented right here in this city. So you would have seen RIP, this company who sells scuba and snorkeling gears. It was around 7:30 in the morning, very windy and 5 to 10 degrees Celsius, and I saw people windsurfing and surfing in this temperature, and it was crazy. The locals here were jogging, they were walking around with their dogs, and it was such a beautiful countryside to witness. Here I was at the Bells Surfing Beach, and it was in the month of June 2022. Of course, you had to layer yourself up with a jacket. You can clearly hear the wind hustling around. Since I was traveling solo, a fellow traveler helped me click photos on this day trip. They also provided us with a breakfast. So here I am enjoying my banana bread and a beverage with these gorgeous views around me. Eyes and stomach both are happy, no complaints at all. The activity provider was Wine Hop and Coastal Tours, but I had booked through Get Your Guide, and here's a banana bread that they had given us. I then shifted my seat to the left side of the driver, which helped me get this gorgeous views throughout the trip. And it was a single seat, so even that helped my case, with panoramic 360 degrees views right in front of me before I reached the signboard of the Great Ocean Road. While the views for the next few hours were gorgeous and breathtakingly beautiful, the story of this road is equally tragic. This road was built by servicemen and soldiers who were alive after the World War I, and they were equally broken physically and mentally. The government then promised them housing and free meals throughout their lives, but after the roads were built, they were not given those things. And more than 3,000 people have lost their lives, while on record, there are just 400 soldiers who have mentioned that they were dead, and the families did not get what they were promised. I befriended a Singaporean while on the trip. These are the perks of solo traveling across the world. Our next stop was to find koalas and other birds in the wild. I love how they are not restrained to zoos of, finding and searching for flora and fauna in their natural habitat. This countryside town is called Kennet, and there are a lot of things to do here, and a lot of locals come here to spend days, and it's such an offbeat place. We stopped here for washroom and beverages before heading to our next destination. I always carry life straw bottle with me which filters water on its own. Not that you need it in Australia, but it's always better to carry. Our next stop was Cape Patin, and before we reached there, we spotted this gorgeous humongous rainbow, which this size I have never seen in my life. The rainbow showered us with its gorgeous views for at least 1 hour on the Great Ocean Road. This literally was the highlight of my trip. I'm so glad about this window seat that I got beside the driver. This really escalated my experience. Our next stop was in a town called Apollo Bay, where we stopped for lunch, and there were good vegetarian and vegan options in the George Hotel where I went. This town also houses an award-winning ice cream parlor, but unfortunately when we went there it was closed. I hope I go there next time to taste this delicious ice cream. Georges also have this beautiful aesthetic cafe decoration. And now we are headed to our next stop, which is Otway National Park. The guide here told us a lot of indigenous stories and colonization stories, which again is a great perk of guided tour. These ferns that you see are the world's tallest ferns that you can experience. And also there is world's second tallest species of tree, which is called mountain ash. The first one is in California, USA, and the second one is right here in Australia. This one was beside a mountain ash, but you can see how tall it is, and these guys grow up to 330 feet, which is like more than 50 to 60 story building. Here it is our showstopper. My height is not even equivalent to a root
And
here.
because they grow just like this one a year, yeah? So then
These are the ferns, the world's tallest ferns that you see, and they really are taller than me as well. We exited from this place called Mate's Rest. There was a Britisher called Mate who used to collect taxes from the locals, and he used to rest at this place. So locals knew his resting time, and they used to easily and smartly avoid him because of these timings and the place where he used to rest. So that was foolish of him and smart for the locals. Reaching our next stop called 12 Apostles, the showstopper of the day. I have seen this 1,000 times on the internet, but this place literally blew my mind when I saw it from my own eyes. It is not hyped, it literally lives up to the expectations and all the brilliant stories that you have heard. There is also a helicopter tour that you can do here that will cost you 200 Australian dollars. I did not choose that trip, but I will link that tour in the description box below. And also a fun fact, there are not actually 12 apostles here, there are 7, and the 8th one broke down just a few years back. It was called apostles to give it a link with Christianity, and 12 because of the followers numbers. We went to Loch Art God after an hour's drive from 12 Apostles, and this again was extremely beautiful. My eyes would have popped out of my sockets. It was that amazing. It was extremely windy, and it was drizzling, plus it was cold. It was around 15 degrees, so not an ideal time to visit this place, but it literally blew my mind. The limestone cliffs and the sea Pacific Ocean is literally to die for. The guide explained us the stories, and while there were people coming in from Scotland, this place is called Shipwreck, and there's a infamous story. A ship from Scotland clashed here at the cliff, and people died, leaving only two people alive, one guy and a girl, and they survived on the island somehow for days together. They fell in love and they were to get married, but the girl, after that, she suddenly remembered she loved somebody back in Scotland, and then she went home. So it was a tragic love story, but it is printed here on the billboards at this place. So there are 3 points on Loch Art God, and every point is beautiful. You can just keep on staring at these gorgeous views and limestone cliffs all around, while the Pacific Ocean hugs them. Our next stop was Gisborne Steps, where you can climb down on the beach and see the 12 apostles at sea level. It feels like, you can just go and touch them. Before we called in our day, and the tour operator dropped us at Melbourne around 7 p.m. with sufficient washroom and beverages stops on the way. It was a 12-hour day trip from Melbourne, and I ended my night at Victorian Night Market, which is next in the playlist, so do remember to check it out.
Video informative, and share this with your friends and family who are visiting Melbourne and who are planning. So just basically help them out in planning better while they are traveling. And I'm going to be traveling to a lot of countries very soon, so just hit the subscribe button to get more information and the mistakes to avoid while you are traveling.